don't like to know that there's mail sitting there that's like gonna do something bad to me or something. So I go through that sucker every day. And if it's something out of the ordinary, I'm on that.
My husband gets so mad at me because I'm the one apparently that got designated. I love how you get married and then like you just get stuck doing things whether you like it or not.
Yeah. For real.
That's one of the things that I got stuck doing, and I hate mail. And he gets so mad at me. He's like, "Have you not checked the mail in like a month?" Nope, I have not.
If you don't check it in a month, then you gotta spend a whole day going
It's
through.
two different models.
At your market.
At your market. And so she got really, really good at that. She even added somebody else in her office that was doing massage that rented a space from her. And so she just got really, really, really good at that one thing. And then she's like, okay, so now I feel confident. I feel solid in what we're doing. I have a good amount of income coming in. It's not just depending on me anymore because she brought somebody else.
Businesses think that they can get on and they look at advertising. We talk about this on our podcast all the time. They think about advertising as a cost to their business. It's the first thing they cut when they're not doing well or when the economy goes down, or even when they are doing well and they're like, we don't want any more business, we can't take on anymore. That's what they cut. They cut their advertising.
The Business Project Podcast.
Business can be complicated.
We break it down so regular people like us
Can understand and find success. I'm John Crespo, accountant and consultant.
I'm Kacie Bryant, marketer and event planner.
If you run a business,
Or want to run a business,
welcome to the show.
we're working on it. We're working on it, guys. Speaking of, where is the finish line? Where's the finish line? I don't know. Probably having your headphones on and ready to go. Right. You guys might notice we have a new face with us today. This is Justine J. Renee.
Hello.
She
Thank you,
is
guys.
a huge help on our path that is the business project, and we have a really great conversation ready for you guys. We're going to talk about just business, just life as a business owner and the struggles that we go through, the wins that we celebrate, how to get more wins to celebrate.
Absolutely.
And so Justine has been a follower of the business project even before she came on the team here. And so we're just going to have an interesting conversation about a lot of things that a lot of you guys can probably relate with.
Yeah. Thank you, Kacie, for having me on. This feels very strange being in this side of the camera instead of behind trying to share with everybody what we're talking about.
Yeah, we have nobody to share today. So if you guys are watching, please share it. We would love that.
Absolutely.
So tell us a little bit about who you are. You've got 2 kids, both in middle school, and you've had a rough couple years that you just worked through, right?
Yeah.
So let's start from the beginning. Just give us an overview of who you are.
That's a long beginning. So I'll bring it to
From the time you were born, walk us through every step.
Exactly. Well, I'm writing a book and it talks about those things, so I'll just skim through to just recently had battled breast cancer and won the fight, and so we are cancer free and excited about that. But before then, just wrestling through trying to start my own businesses. I'm an Army wife, and that's the only life I've really known since I've been about 19 years old. And so just supporting my husband through all of his career, and he's made it all the way to the top. We get to retire in less than 18 months, so that's really exciting. And I just feel like I started a photography business. I've done cleaning business. I've done many other things, but it's not coming to me right now, but a lot of it has been motherhood.
Yeah, yes.
And just whenever, like I was telling you before, whenever something else, whenever I see the look in my kids' eyes of like, wow, I haven't looked in your eyes in a really long time, and I don't know what's everything that's going on with you guys, then I'll just push my businesses off to the side and then solely focus on the kids and the family, and then we move from place to place. And
yeah, that's got to be hard. The moving is a lot in itself. Being an Army wife is a lot in itself, let alone trying to run a family and get a business going.
Yeah.
John and I talk all the time. And by the way, John is joining us on YouTube. He said, hey, in the Great Smoky Mountains. Might lose, but wanted to say hi. What's up, John? We miss you.
Yes.
He's traveling. He gets to watch his daughter graduate today from training school for the military. I don't know what branch, but so that's why John is not with us, but he'll be back next week. We're going to get right back on track next week. So, yes, running a business. And I think that that's kind of where we're going to go in this conversation, because we talk about all the time about, people think that they're going to start a business. They have a passion for building tables or electrical work or accounting, numbers. And they're like, I get to do that. I want to start a business because I get to do that.
Yeah.
But when all reality, when you start a business, it's so much more than just doing that.
Yeah.
There's the taxes, and there's the hiring people once you get bigger, and there's the the HR part of it, and there's the paying your bills and accounting. And I mean, it just like becomes so much. And especially when you have a family and you're trying to balance being a good wife or a good husband and being a mom or a dad on top of that, we're in a phase of life right now. My kids are 11 and 13, and they're both my daughter does travel volleyball and my son does travel baseball. And I was like, those moms are crazy. Those parents are crazy. Why would you ever do that? I'm not going to revolve my life around my kids. I was like one of those. There's so many things that I said that I'm never going to do that I do as a mom. But they, that's the phase of life that we're in. They love it. My son is an amazing baseball player, and he loves it so much, and it brings us so much joy as a family. And we have a ton of fun traveling and seeing different places, and we like to travel anyway, so it fits in great with us. But doing that eliminates our entire weekend. And running a business during the week, plus I'm running for school board and, doing all the other things. Then when do I do the laundry? When does the laundry get done? When do the dishes get done? When do I clean my house and my bathroom? And I mean, and
the chickens and the pigs and the yard.
Yes, we live on 30 acres too. Yeah, exactly. So I think, but even if you don't have all of those things going, each person has their own unique experience and the way that they're going through life. I think we've become such a busy culture. Everything is busy. We're distracted. And that's actually one of the notes on our board is noise. There's a lot of noise. There's a lot of people telling you how you need to raise your kids, how you need to run your business, how you need to live your life. You need to work out. You need to eat right. You need to do all of these things. And a lot of those things are important. But I think then we get overwhelmed. Like, but I can't do it all. It doesn't fit in my schedule.
Yeah.
So, go ahead.
The overwhelm turns into that, complete stop and procrastination. Because it's like, okay, I know I have to do those types of things, but I really want to watch this movie with my kids. Or like right now, we're working on building our own podcast. And we had so much fun doing our little skits, and it revolves around playing video games, and so we're just like trying to organize the whole thing, but we end up having so much fun just playing and hanging out. And I'm like, I want to have this much fun all the time. Is this what you guys do all day? This is great.
Yeah.
But with stepping a little bit back on what you said of you start your business and then you get to a certain extent and you're like, oh, that's too much. And that would be like what had happened to me often. It's just like, like with my photography business, I loved taking pictures. And so living in Alaska, it was just beautiful, the scenery, everything. And us Army wives didn't really have a whole lot to do. it got very cold very quickly for a really long time. And so we would just take, like, we had one friend who did makeup. She loved doing makeup. So she would dress us all up, right? And then we'd go out into the wilderness and like create these themes and take these pictures of us in like different dresses, and we're like, la, you know? And then we'd do all of our kids, and, you know, it was just something to pass by the time.
Yeah.
And I wanted to, they're like, you could make money from doing this. You're really good. And I'm like, but I don't want to take away from anybody else who's also doing that. Like, I was always just, I love outreach. I love supporting my friends and everything. And I'm like, no, you're doing a good job. And they're like, but you could do this too. And I'm like, there's too many of us. The saturation, like how we were talking about last week, of like, the market is too saturated and too many Army wives take pictures of everybody, you know? And so then we moved to Kentucky, and I was like, okay, I'm away from at least my core friends. I'll just start doing the photography there. And it really took off. And we had a perfect home that had like a basement where people could come in without coming through my whole home. And I was like, I went to bridal shows and just really put myself out there. But then 15 months later, we moved to another home, and it didn't have all the things. And I had to change all my EINs, and I'm like,
start all over.
Yeah.
Another state.
Yeah. And I was only going to be there temporary. And I started messing with all of the different, changing my name, and I started losing my identity.
Yeah.
And then in that mess, I just was like, it's not worth it.
I think that's one thing that we do a lot as business owners is we get it in our own way.
Every time.
Yeah. Every
I'm
time.
always in my way. I'm like, get out of my way, Justine. You're in the way.
Yeah. I want to take a second really quick to say hi to Game Gear, your son. Yes, what's up?
Gear.
And my Aunt Joan. What's up, Auntie Bones? Good Friday morning. So good to see you guys. Thank you for watching.
See if we have anybody on Facebook.
So, yeah, let's talk about time management for a second, because I think that is really important. And I think we'll probably do a whole podcast, and we've done a whole podcast about time management, because it is so incredibly important. And you talked about also getting so overwhelmed that you just like sit still.
Yes.
And it reminds me of my chicken. We have chickens.
I remind you of your chicken?
Yeah,
That's
it reminds
great.
me of my chicken. Because it's so funny. Like, they are so fun and so free, and they're like doing their thing. And then when you go to like chase after them, or if like something is around them, they just sit. They're so funny. They just like, they're running and happy, and then they just sit and they like squat. And that's what it reminds me of visually when I see that, is like, you know, the chaos is coming and there's too many things and you don't know which way to go. And so you just sit and then you get nowhere. So I think that time management is such an important part of being successful in business, balancing your work life and your family life, setting boundaries is so incredibly important. And I do time blocking. And I actually worked with one of my team members who doesn't have kids or a husband yet, but she's balancing school and work. And so it doesn't matter what phase of life you are in. I think that we all struggle with this. And so we sat down and we created a schedule, like on Mondays from 9 to 12, this is what you work on, and you let nothing else get in your way. And you put it in your calendar, and these are the tasks that you do. And then after that, this is what you do. And then Tuesday morning, this is what you do. And if you look at my phone and my calendar, I have certain days and times blocked off for certain things. And I think that it's really important to figure out a system that might not work for everybody, but it does work for me, and it works for a lot of people. And I think the whole point is to figure out a system that works for you, and stick with it, and say no to the things that don't fit into that.
Right.
Because that's the thing too, is I think we feel like we have to say yes to everything. We have to say yes to the birthday parties, and we have to say yes to the friends that invited us over for dinner, and we have to say yes to, you know, all of these other things. And the reality is you don't have to say yes.
Yeah.
You can say no but you don't know to say no unless you know your boundaries.
Right.
Unless you have those set beforehand.
Yeah.
And I just want to challenge you guys to work on getting less busy and more intentional.
Are you speaking directly to me?
I'm talking to me too. I'm talking to me. That's the only reason I can say this is because I'm in the same boat.
Yes. Yeah. And I totally agree with that. And it's like, cause, we always sit down after the podcast and kind of like hash through the week and like see what's going on and what we should talk about next week. And like last week we went through and you're like, these are my time blocks and this is how we do this is how it works for me on the program we use, right? And I'm like, oh, that's awesome. And then it's like, as soon as I leave here, life just hits me in the face of all the other things that I'm committed to. And I think I do agree with the boundaries. That's a huge marker to like have something, right? A guardrail, but also your core values. Because like one of my huge core values is community and when the outreach of a community, right? And so not having a boundary to my core value means that, oh, you need
You're
something,
always
you
helping.
need something, and it feels so good because I'm like, oh, my values are being reached, you know, like, and it feels inspiring and exciting, and I love seeing people's faces when they light up when I'm able to like go and do something with them, you know. But then that bogs me down.
Yeah.
And I can't get done the things that I want to get done.
Yeah. The things it takes away from you when you don't have that boundary and that clear set expectation of yourself.
Right.
Again, getting out of your own way.
Yeah.
And I think that, you know, you talked about moving as a military, as an Army wife, there's something to be said. So one of the things that I'm working on within my business is writing it down. Creating systems, like we have a board that we use, it's Trello. We have a system that we use called Trello, and it's an amazing tool. And we do all of these things within our business, and I do all of these things, you know, the same things every week, the same things sometimes every day or every month. And I have to like reinvent the wheel. I have to remind myself like, okay, what do I need to do this month? And it's all the same stuff all the time. So I've gotten more intentional about going over to my Trello board and being like, okay, these are the things that I need to do this week. These are the things that I need to do this month. And then I just duplicate the checklist. And then you're not having to start all over. It helps your brain. And the reason I haven't done it up until now is because it takes time.
Yeah.
It takes time, and then you have to sit down and you have to do it. But once you do it, it's like such a breath of fresh air. And we're working on that for our team too. Everything that you work on, if it's a regular thing, even like down to if you respond to messages, create these canned responses so they're not having to come up with a brand new response every time we get the same question. And so I think coming up with a system where you can do time management, but then where you can also save your space, that brain space. And I think if you would have done that with your photography business in the first place that you were in it, just documenting systems and how you got started and things to do, and I spend this much time on social media on these days, and then I go and I do photography on these days, then you could have easily taken that into your new place and you wouldn't have had to start all over. I mean, you start all over, but not with the basics. So you already have the foundation. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I have to also mention, like, being a creative person is a lot of things that you do. Like, it covers a lot of different things, right? And being from Michigan, a Midwestern, like, middle class person, it's like you could go to school to become a nurse or an engineer. Those are like, people are always getting sick and people always need things to be fixed, right? That's what my dad always said. And so, and like being creative or taking photos or doing these things, like, it just didn't scream out job security, you know? And so stumbling through, and you and I talk about that because you're like, I'm just going on a whim. Like, I'm figuring it out as I go. And I think trying, again, get out of my own way of like those core voices, those critical voices being like, okay, well, this isn't really, like, what are you even doing? You know? And it's like, but I'm doing so much. And it's so much fun. And I'm like, I'm so excited that this gets to be a job for people, you know? And so thank you for the opportunity. And I'm just excited for my boys who are all interested in like this type of open-ended creativity. So they're not just following a line of like, this is what I got to do, and I got to do all these things all the time. So maybe that's why the systems like freak me out a little bit. Because I'm like, if there's a system.
You're boxing me in, woman.
Exactly. That's why I'm like, I'll do the system, but like, let me also do this.
Yeah. Well, just because you create a system doesn't mean that it has to stay there. I mean, that's the cool thing about digital. Like, you're not chipping it out in a stone. It's not like, oh, we have to completely redo the tablet or we can't edit.
Yeah.
I mean, when you're creating the system, it's a working document, seasons change and things in your life change and priorities change. And so you don't like create it and then live it until you die.
Like Moses comes down from the mountain and this is it.
Yeah, this is what you do.
But that goes into what we were wanting to say about the finish line.
Yeah.
Like the progress of work. It doesn't just end in the day. It just a little bit, and then you do a little bit more the next day.
Yeah. Yeah, because that was our opening line is, where's the finish line? But before we get into that, I want to say hi to John. What's up, Mr. John? What is time management? You're the definition man. We need you here to tell us what time management is. My mom is watching, and we're already way into this, and we have two people to get to listen to, Miss Christina and Miss Laureneth. So we're going to get to one of those really quickly. And then we're going to be back. We're going to define what time management is. And then we're going to go into like, what does productive look like? I feel like you just led into that. What does productive look like? And if y'all are watching, we would love for you to ask your questions. All right, let's get into it.
Hello, everyone. It's so great seeing you all again. My name is Lornette Peters, Director of Marketing and Communications at the Better Business Bureau, serving Middle Tennessee and Southern Kentucky. My tip for the week is all about Facebook Messenger. Let's face it, most business owners are still involved in Facebook to some level. You're still on Facebook, you're still receiving messages from Facebook, and scammers understand this. So they're trying as much as they can to get sensitive information from you. One of the top scams that we see on Facebook is an email or Facebook message from someone that says, hey, is this you? You click on that message, and what happens? The scammer is able to download sensitive information from you because they have a malware on your phone or on your computer after you open that particular message. So we want you to always be careful before opening any message on Facebook Messenger and on Facebook altogether, right? So if you think it's a friend sending you a message, first figure out what kind of friend you have and the kind of tone they use when they're sending you a message. Most of my friends don't just say, hey, is this you? They're like, hey, Lornette, what you doing? What is up with this link? And it depends on your friend and the way they communicate with you. That's the first red flag if they're just saying, hey, is this you? That's not how your friend communicates. I know if I receive a message from Kacie or John Crespo, right, on Facebook Messenger, they won't say, hey, is this you? They'll provide more detail, or they'll actually just text me and say, hey, girl, I just saw this on Facebook. Is this really you? So always be careful. Don't open any link from someone you're not sure of, or don't open any link if you think it's suspicious. And that is my tip of the week. Until next time, have a great week.
All right, and we're back.
Oh, yeah.
What's up? Yeah, it looks good on that camera.
Yeah.
Okay. So what is time management? Mr. Definition Man John is asking. I don't know. We need you. Time management is managing your time, balancing between family and work and taking care of yourself and your time with God and whatever it is that is a priority in your life, making sure that you're managing that.
Yeah. And also, a friend of mine told me that we can't change time. Time is always going to be 24 hours. It's what we do within each of those hours, and take an inventory of what it is that you do, in order to plan ahead. Sit down and see what it is that you actually do every single day. Mm-hmm. And what is it that's taking the most time? Yeah,
that's so important. Intentional, we talk about intentionality all the time. So what does productive look like? What does being productive look like? I think that being productive is different for everybody. And I think it's different depending on what your goal is and where your season in life is. Mm-hmm. And I think it's just making progress.
Making progress.
That would be my definition of productive, is making progress.
Yeah.
And you had said that somebody mentioned needing to complete something. Like completing means that you're productive.
Yeah, if you've started something and then finished it within that time frame that you've made, then you have been productive.
I don't know if I agree with that.
Yeah.
I think that that's one measure of being productive.
Yeah.
But I think sometimes when you get started in something, especially when you're running a business, you create your business plan and you get started in something, and then you realize that it needs to change, or that your priorities change, or it takes longer, you want to do this instead of that. So I think just making progress, just taking one step.
Yeah.
Taking one step is being productive.
And I mean, also like spreading out the productive thought process, like spreading out that word, maybe putting spaces between each letter, you know what I mean? Like, because you can say, okay, to end this project is going to be in 6 weeks. Whereas like my limited belief system equals, I need to finish this within the hour. And if I didn't, then I'm a failure, you know?
Yeah.
Which is, that's a lot to take on. But if you're like, well, this is a big project and it's going to take us 6 weeks. And then you have that much time to actually finish the project.
You mentioned something cool. And I think that this is a difference between me and you. And I think something that you are moving towards tackling, I guess. I'm trying to use the right words for it. I think that people that make progress and that not get to the finish line, but run towards the finish line are not the chicken, like sitting, right? Are the people that don't have to have everything drawn out and perfect too. I think that when you first came here, you're like, no, I want to know exactly what I need to do. I need to know exactly when I need to do it. I need you to train me in it. I need you to, do all the things. And it's like, well, I don't know either. I don't know how to train you in that. Excuse me, because I don't know how to do it.
Yeah.
But I think like building the boat as we are on it.
Which sounds scary.
Yeah.
Someone's taking out the water with the bucket while the other person's hammering.
Yeah. We got the
That's
floor.
That's exactly what I feel like right now.
Well, we got the floor. We got the floor on there, so there's no water coming in. And we got all the tools on the boat. We're just trying to put the walls up and all the things and create a bed and make it nice and pretty as we're going.
Yeah.
And I think that it's okay. It's okay that we don't yet know what the bathroom's going to look like on the boat.
Yeah. And that's so funny that you, I love your analogies and your metaphors, because that's really what tied me into or sold me on the business project. Because I was listening to, I've always been a huge fan of your other business at Local, just like seeing all the different businesses, and you always posted my things. But I listened to the podcast and you had mentioned something about I think it was conflict in the business, or of like your team or something.
Managing conflict.
Yeah. About the tooth, the sore tooth, and going to the dentist. And you're like, yeah, you could just keep that tooth rotting away in your mouth the whole entire time, and then eventually have to take all your teeth out. Or you can pause, address the situation, find the root issue, right? Of maybe it's a root canal needed, and you just go to the dentist and you're like, hey, let's maybe we gotta lose the tooth, or maybe we can just repair it. And I was like, I love her. I need to be her friend.
Those things just come into my brain. Oops,
that
what was that? Yeah, those things just come into my brain. John is asking, I sure need it. Time management. Progress is consistently moving closer to your goal. That's what I said, John. You copied me. Is that what I said?
Carefully moving to your goal.
John and I are friends because we have very similar thought processes. I want to hear from you guys. How do you manage your time? What are some things that you're winning in? Hi, Mandy.
Hello.
Productive equals making progress. Hi, Joe Ellen. Love you, Justine.
Oh.
Kyle Bob. Kyle Bob?
That's my husband.
I was like, that
Workplace.
looks familiar. Workplace systems are definitely important with flexibility to adapt. Yes. Yes. Thank you guys for watching, for joining us.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh.
Go ahead.
I like that he wrote that because that's something we're working on right now, making a family crest. And it's, I think it was pivot, adapt, and realign. And it follows, it's going to be a triangle. And it's also like see, ask, and do.
Oh, cool.
And then rooted in faith and all that fun stuff. Like
Wow,
that.
that's fun. A family crest.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Keep on keeping on.
Keep on keeping on. All right, we're going to hear from Christina really quick, and then we're going to talk about what does winning look like. That is the big question. What does winning look like? All right, so if y'all have any questions, comments, put them in, and we will hear from Christina and be right back.
Hi there, I'm Christina Stubblefield. If you own a website or run an online business, I've got a crucial tip for you. Are you ready? Make sure your website is optimized for mobile devices. Why? Because these days, most people are searching, shopping, and browsing the web on their mobile devices. Imagine this. Someone's looking for a product or service you offer. They find your website through a search engine or a link on social media. But when they try to visit your website on their mobile device, it's slow, unresponsive, and it looks like a jumbled mess. What do you think happens next? They probably hit the back button and choose a competitor's site instead. You don't want that to happen to you. You want visitors to stay and explore what you have to offer. Optimizing your website for mobile devices isn't just a nice to have, it's a must. It ensures a seamless and enjoyable experience for your visitors, which can lead to higher engagement, longer visits, and more conversions. If you're not sure how to make your website mobile friendly, don't worry. There are experts out there who can help. You can visit ChristinaStubblefield.com and schedule a free discovery call, and let's take a look at your website. Remember, in today's mobile-first world, a well-optimized website can make all the difference. Don't miss out on potential customers. Make sure your website is mobile friendly so you can thrive online.
We love
right.
Christina. She's the bestest. We got some good peeps on here. All right, Mandy says, love you ladies.
Love you too.
What's up, girl?
Oh, hi, Rebecca. My friend Rebecca Spence is watching here live on.
Hi, Rebecca.
Yeah.
All right, so
And Katie. Hi, Katie.
hi, Katie. What does winning look like?
Well,
That is the question. You guys tell us in the comments, what do you think winning looks like? I asked this question because I asked this to the team member that I was telling you about, that I helped her get her schedule all coordinated. This was my big question, was what does winning look like? If you don't know what it looks like to win, then how do you know if you're winning? And how do you know to get to winning? Like, you don't even know what game you're playing.
how do you know you're even losing if you don't even know how to win?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, you could be winning the whole time.
Yeah, if you don't know what winning looks like, then you're in trouble. So y'all tell us, what does winning look like? And I think that you have to define this for yourself, and it's different for everybody. And you need to do it in all areas of your life. So like, what does winning look like as a parent? What does winning look like as a wife or a husband? What does winning look like as a business owner, as a leader, as you're leading your team, as you're in your community? Like, what does winning look like as a member of your community? What does winning look like as a member of your church? I mean, you can do that for every area of your life.
Yeah. I mean, with the student ministry that we do on Wednesdays, we always, we try to start with like, what was a win of your day or what was a win of your week? And we do that even in our small group. And it really like, everyone's always like froze. Like, I don't know.
We have to talk about something positive?
Right. But like, I guess what I bring to the kids, which kids are always like, every time I say something to the kids, then they say something back. And like we were talking, I'm like, oh yeah, I need to also know this and do this. But winning is just like simply waking up in the morning. I woke up today. What am I going to do with this? Right.
Yeah. That's a good win.
That's a huge win. Especially when you're been faced with like a life or death health crises. I remember it was so much easier when I knew I was like, or when I just felt like, okay, this might be my last day. How am I winning today? And that's where I want to harness back. Like, that's where I felt most confident, right? When I thought that I wasn't promised the next day. But that's like literally every day of everyone's life.
Yeah.
You're not promised tomorrow. You're promised right now. How are you showing up right now?
Yeah. And being grateful, I think, is one thing too, is I think we're always thinking about when I get there, and that's, again, where's the finish line? When I do this next thing, or when I get this next thing of money, or when my kids are this age, or like, we're always, the finish line is a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, I think. I mean, we can set milestones, but really the finish line is when you die.
Yeah.
And that's not even it. But I think, yeah, just remembering to be grateful with where you are right now, with all the little things in your life, the little and the big things, and knowing, being intentional again about what does winning look like in every area of your life. And then working hard every day. Wake up and do focus on that.
Yeah, focus on the things.
Whatever you focus on is what happens.
Exactly.
It's where your energy goes.
Exactly. Yeah. Christina Stubblefield says, winning is more than just a moment of triumph.
Amen, girl.
Amen.
That's a good one.
Yeah, it's more like than that.
So what is it? What is more, Christina?
More.
Explain.
It's like that eternal joy where you're like, you can be sitting there constantly being punched in the face, but still be like, but I'm so excited that we had this conversation and that we got to learn from each other, you know?
Yeah. Yep. And another thing I think is important is you're not going to be winning all the time. Like, what fun is that? That's not fun when you just win all the time. So you're going to lose some, but you have to know what winning looks like. Game Gear says, winning looks like feeling like you completed something, are very excited, but sometimes winning doesn't feel good because you won at what cost? USA won World War II, but look at all the losses. That's a very good... That's
that
a very
insightful,
good. Yeah, look at you with your deep thinking.
I love that. That was really good. Joellen, she's so sweet. She's a family friend of ours. She said, winning in Justine and Kyle's lives is shown in how they shine as a couple and as parents. Thank you.
Yeah,
That's really sweet.
that's really good.
Yeah, I do agree. Like, when somebody tells me that my kids are doing well, I'm like, oh, thank you.
Yeah,
It's a lot of hard work, but knowing that someone else can see it does. It's validating to me.
yeah.
So
I think what we need to take away from today is give yourself a break. Give yourself a break and have fun. Enjoy the journey. Don't be chasing the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow because you're not going to get there. Instead, enjoy looking at the rainbow. Yeah. Like, be in the moment and enjoy the rainbow.
Absolutely.
Look at all the colors. Go ahead.
Christina also mentioned achievement is one's goals, personal growth, and positive impact on others in the community.
Yeah, that's great, Christina. We're glad you're watching us live.
Yeah, thank you.
We miss you. I'm driving Christina crazy because I'm all over the place. She's like, why are you preaching on time management? You are a hot mess. Sorry.
That is a true statement.
Hey.
No, not that you're a hot mess. But God uses our messes for our message.
Yes, that is a true statement. You are a hot mess. Justine, we're building the boat as we go. I'm not afraid.
You're building. I'm sitting here. I'm bringing the stuff out of the water. Like, hold on, we're sinking.
No, we're not. I see the mountain. We're almost there. Keep paddling.
I'm like, hold on, let me bring that thing out.
It's all right. But we have fun while we're doing it.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right. So enjoy the rainbow. Taste the rainbow. Are we allowed to say that?
I think no, I don't know. But I mean, it is March. It's the luck of the Irish.
The luck of the Irish. Know what winning looks like to you. Give yourself a break and have a really good rest of your day. Do something today. Right when you hit off and close out of this podcast, I want you to take one thing that we talked about today, whether that be working on writing down what winning looks like to you, whether it be sitting down and looking at your calendar and setting some priorities and doing some time blocking, whether it be creating a system that I recommend Trello. It's awesome. It's like folders and you keep notes and create checklists. Monday is another one. There's lots of good systems. Just a notepad on your computer. But you can create a system to help you not having to figure it out new every single day, every single week, every single month. Whether it be sitting down and writing what you're grateful for. Instead of always complaining about where you want to be, sit down and take a minute and do a thankful journal.
Gratitude journal. I like that. That's definitely something done in the past. It always works. It always works. As soon as you start counting all your blessings, you're just like, why am I even upset about anything?
Yes. So I want you to take one of those things. Pick one right now. Write it in the comments. Even if we're not live anymore and you're just watching the recording, or if you're listening in your car on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, I want you to mentally note or write in the comments what that one thing is that you're going to do today before the end of the day. We're going to hold you accountable. We're going to message you. We're going to stalk you. We're going to be in your phone and be like, did you do your thing? You know, I used to be a personal trainer at one point in my life.
I'm a yoga teacher, so I'm like, just, however your body feels. But you do it too. You put it in the comments too, Kacie. Of what your win is.
What is my win?
Challenging you.
Okay, I'll do it. I'll go back and do it. All right. We miss you, John. We'll be back to our regular show next week. We're talking about building your business plan. We talked about naming your business. We talked about, I don't even remember.
Market research. And then next week is like prices, products, sole proprietorship, like getting into the nitty gritty of the stuff of the reasons why I don't like having my own business.
We'll get into pricing. Pricing is really hard for people, and knowing your worth and things like that. So next week we'll continue. John will be back. We'll continue to build your business plan and talk about more things all business.
Knowing your worth is going to be good once you write these gratitudes and your wins.
You'll be
all set.
100%. But we're very thankful